Okay, in this video we're going to have a look through how to develop a level 1 diagram for this worksheet, the doctor's appointments. So as you can see, what we've done previously is build up a context diagram, data flow diagram to represent this doctor's scenario. The first steps we went through was to identify what the data flows were, so what the inputs, what the outputs were, and the sources of the inputs and the recipients of the outputs. So we came up with this diagram, and this clearly shows all of the data flows and who they are coming from or going to. Okay, let's take this and put this into Visio then. So this is what it was produced in, and we can see there that same diagram. So the next step is to remove the box in the middle. So I can just hit delete there, that removes it. I can move these back around. Got these big long arrows, so I'm just going to drag these in to make these arrows not as big. Can easily move them around. At the same time, just going to zoom in slightly so it makes it easier for you to see on the screen. Okay, so looking back at the scenario, the main thing we need to do now for level 1 is to identify the processes. We've done the inputs, we've done the outputs, but let's identify what the processes are and the stores of those data. So the first paragraph, looking through this, a potential patient joins the doctors by submitting a patient application form. A new patient record is created and stored in the patient's record store. If we're going to break that down into processes, we're trying to think what is the overarching process, because it could be debated that we're creating a new record, we're submitting a patient application form, they're joining the doctors, we're storing. There's lots of verbs in there, lots of doing words, but the main process, if we look at that, is somebody's joining the doctors. Second paragraph, the patient's making an appointment. Third paragraph, making a telephone appointment and cancelling an appointment. The last paragraph is all centered around the doctor will see a patient. So we've got ourselves 5 processes there, and they need to come across into our diagram. Okay, so I'm going to bring in a process, and the first one, we have that as join the doctors. So in order to join the doctors, they submit an application form. Okay, that's the main thing that's happened there. Just pull these in a little bit. And when they've joined the doctors, we need to put their data. So we've got a new member there. He's going, or a new patient should I say. And this is going to go into the patient store. So that's the first one matched up, and we've got to match all these arrows up so we've covered it all. So we said the second thing that's happening is a patient makes an appointment. So if we go back here and make appointment, and it's the patient doing that, so we'll bring the patient down here, and we've got bring all these back in. So these have all been created from our context diagram. There we go. So we've got the patient's details, make an appointment, and the appointment card comes out of there. Just move that back over here for a minute. So you can see there the patient has provided their patient details, they've received an appointment card. In order to make the appointment, we also need to query this store. So the patients give us their details. Let's check their record. Are they a real patient at the doctor's? So we're recalling on that. We also need to add the appointment into a new store called appointments. So we can link this up now, and we've got here the new appointment. Okay, similarly we had a telephone appointment. Just going to move that one over here. This will make this task easier. when I say easier, what I mean is presented better. So we're going to have another process, make telephone appointment, and this time let's bring the doctor over here. Just going to bring these arrows in. Okay. So the receptionist makes a telephone appointment. Bring the receptionist in over here. Okay. And the same things happen, so we're going to need to record data from the patient's records and add a new appointment. Here we go. So, new appointment. So we're starting to build up this diagram already. What's left to deal with is what doctor's here. We've got cancellation details. The process here is cancelling an appointment. So let's add another process in. Cancel appointment. Add that. We're going to need to update the appointments details. So we could bring in, let's drag this over here for a moment and cancel appointment there, bring the receptionist round. There we go, looking a little bit tidier, and then the cancel appointment can update. I'm just going to put updated. We'd usually write updated appointments in there. So I've started to build this up. The stores we've got at the moment are the patient store and the appointments. Now this so far works really well for a doctor's surgery that has a single doctor. One of our issues is what if this doctor's surgery has many doctors? Then when we make the appointments, we're also going to need to have a look at what doctors are available. So this is something we could bring into here, is another store, doctors, and to have a look, somebody might request a certain doctor. So when we make a telephone appointment, we need to find out doctor information, doctor's details. This could also happen when we make an appointment as well. So this is a question you would ask your client when you was doing further analysis. Is it just one single doctor? Is it several? Do we use this information? So someone might ring up. We're going to include that just in case. Okay, the main last one that we're dealing with now, we've got 1, 2, 3, we've got 4 in there, and it's actually the patient or the doctor seeing the patient. So I'm going to add this one in here, see patient, and from this the doctor issued a prescription to the patient, the doctor receives the patient records, and the doctor receives a list of appointments. Lastly, the doctor enters prescription details. Okay, so that all fits well on there. To see a patient, things that they're going to need the appointments table. So I'm just going to move this one up here out the way a little bit. You can start to see we're getting a little bit crammed in, and this shows that we've got enough on this diagram now. We wouldn't want any more processes. If we did, we'll be looking at the next level. So I'm going to put a copy of the appointments table and we're going to bring this into here. So appointment info, and I'm going to bring in a copy of the patients, because one thing the doctor will need to get is the patient's records. It already states that in the scenario. Patient record. Okay, one of the things we would need to do, let me put that over this side, might make that a bit easier to see. Okay, notice no crossing lines. That's the important thing with this diagram, no crossing lines. We've pretty much modelled it. It could be debatable whether the doctor would re-update the patient's details, but this really shows a solution to the scenario, and the scenario was a potential patient joins the doctors by submitting a patient application form. A new patient record is created, stored in the patient's record store. A patient makes an appointment by providing their patient details. Appointment card is given to the patient after they have made the appointment. The appointment details are stored in the database. A receptionist makes a telephone appointment for a patient by entering their patient details. A receptionist also cancels appointment for a patient by entering their cancellation details. Both of these update the appointments section of the database. The doctor will see a patient, and when they see, into the patient list. So, patient will see the patient, a list of appointments, patient records will be sent to the doctor. A doctor may want to issue a prescription by entering prescription details into the system, and the prescription will be issued to the patient. There was the DFD 0. Here is our completed level 1 diagram, including stores. Notice duplications to make sure that no lines cross and this becomes easy to read. The main processes are identified: joining the doctors, making a telephone appointment, cancelling an appointment, making an appointment, seeing the patient, and which of the tables of data, the stores of data, are queried. So that is how to create a level 1 of the doctor's scenario.